Hey there and welcome back to Sims Sunday. My name is Pete and as usual in this series we try to complete The Sims 3. After a romantic wedding in the last episode, things are settling down a bit in this one. And so to get started we will follow Ayesha, who as you can see on the top left of your screen will begin this episode with a round of collecting. Paul is awake as well, but will stay in bed for now with the Charisma skill book, because just a few seconds later, Chastity will also be well rested, and we can try the whole baby thing again. And that seems to have worked. Lovely. On the other side of the house, Patrick is the fourth and last member of the household awake. He is hungry, so he will prepare himself some breakfast and try out the new ingredient eviscerator in the process. In the bathroom, Chastity is quickly taking a shower, while over in the bedroom, Paul returns to the Charisma skill book. And with the shower done, Chastity has pretty much fulfilled all of her needs, meaning that we can now focus on skills and money with her. And to do so, we will teleport her in front of the local theater and have her start playing guitar for tips. Back at home, Patrick has finished his breakfast and will now take care of his garden. And I have decided to buy a new sprinkler. The auto water function on the old one wasn't working for some reason, and I also couldn't activate it manually anymore. So with this new one, we of course do not have the auto water upgrade, but at least we can activate it in some way. Then over in the bedroom, Paul improves his Charisma skill to level 9, so only one more level to go until we have that maxed out. And we will actually continue with the Charisma skill, more precisely with the Everybody's Best Friend skill challenge. For that we need 10 best friends, Paul currently has 6, so let's get that number up a bit by throwing a party. We will of course only invite people who are already very good friends with Paul, so that one party can realistically make the friendship jump to best friend status. Before his guests arrive, let's have Paul take a quick shower. And immediately after that, it's Patrick's turn, who has finished with his garden. While the first guests arrive, Paul can now clean out some bad food from the fridge. And then grab something of what's left for himself for a very belated breakfast. With Patrick, who did not just get married and therefore has to work today, we will completely ignore the party in the house and jump straight to the computer to increase his fun bar with some computer games. Then you can see on the top right of your screen, while playing for tips, Chastity has improved her guitar skill to level 8. So while Paul is already telling all of his guests to leave again, we are already closing in on maxing out the guitar skill as well. However, the skill challenges in that skill are what bother me at the moment. More specifically the Guitar Star skill challenge, because that one requires us to complete 10 very specific guitar opportunities, and those do not pop up simply every day. Outside, Paul has paid the bills and already grabbed the mail as well, so let's sell a bunch of stuff and make ourselves a bit more money. Paul will now return back inside with the Charisma skill book, and yeah, I know apart from making a baby, the day has not been very exciting for him. With Patrick, we have a bit more stuff going on, most notably his work shift starts soon. So with his fun bar almost filled to the maximum, let's teleport him over to the restaurant. And also with all 4 work performance requirements bright green, a full day of working hard should result in another promotion for him. Then, while watching Chastity, we get an opportunity for Paul. Give a speech at City Hall to improve the Charisma skill. This might turn out to be very useful, because gaining that last level of Charisma can take quite a while, and this opportunity might give us a very solid boost. So for that reason, let's have him put away the Charisma skill book, and have him start working on that opportunity right now. And look who's here, Ayesha is back home, returning from a long collecting trip. She can now send away a bit of stuff and then grab something to eat. And speaking of some food, that's also what we should get for Chastity. She can now take a break from playing and return home. Chastity actually returned home earlier than Ayesha was done sending away stuff, so now the two of them can spend a few minutes together at the dinner table and also raise their social bars. However, not for long, because just as she's finished, Chastity shows the first signs of pregnancy. Well, it seems like a child is on the way, isn't that lovely? Also very nice, Paul completes his opportunity and gets a nice boost to the charisma skill. I doubt very much that we would have been able to accomplish that in a few hours of reading the skill book, so the opportunity was definitely worth it. Now, while Paul is on his way back home, we can do the usual Monday ritual and collect a nice sum of money. Alright, we earned just around 47,000 simoleons here, and that number is only going to increase. And with all of that money that we just made, we can now buy out the hospital, and who's better suited for that than Ayesha herself? Back at home, Paul has started another novel, one of the shorter ones, I believe a fiction novel. I want him to write a few more of these short books to complete the prolific author skill challenge. To unlock this, he will need to write 20 books in total, and as a result, he will write more hits and bestsellers. So it makes sense to write short books for this in order to complete it as soon as possible. Meanwhile, thanks to a level up in the guitar skill, Chastity is once again able to learn a new track, and that's what she's currently doing. And here we are, we have slightly decimated our family funds, but we now own the hospital. In case I haven't mentioned that before, one of my goals for this playthrough is basically to own the entirety of Sunset Valley in the end, and I think we just made a nice step forward in that regard. Let's quickly jump over to the restaurant. It's the end of the workday for Patrick, and it looks like he's due for a promotion. Yep, there it is. Patrick has improved to level 7 in the culinary career. 3 more promotions to go and he will be a 5-star chef, completing the culinary career track. At home, Chastity has just learned a new track and can now practice the guitar skill a bit more. We don't need to send her out again to play for tips, as she would need to return pretty soon anyway, so a few more hours at home should be enough. Ayesha also returns. She has just identified a bunch of space rocks and she will now head straight to bed. A few seconds later, we find a very hungry Patrick back in the kitchen, preparing a nice dinner for himself. Now, this will not raise his cooking skill any further, because we have maxed that out, but it will count towards the Star Chef and the World Class Chef skill challenges, which require the preparation of 50 and 75 meals respectively. And here we go, Paul has completed his novel. It was a non-fiction one actually. That will not do much in terms of money, but a completed book is a completed book, and so the prolific author skill challenge comes closer and closer. Paul can now sit down at the dinner table with something to eat. In the meantime, Patrick has already finished eating and is now reading a gardening skill book. And after cleaning up, Paul will also turn towards skill learning, as usual with the charisma skill book. Chastity, meanwhile, shows once again signs of pregnancy, and then promptly breaks the toilet afterwards. She will leave the repairs to somebody else. I think her pregnancy is a good excuse for that. So while Chastity goes to sleep, we can have Paul take care of the toilet. Wonderful, that is the repairs done. He can now also go to bed, and we will leave the cleaning to Patrick, and we can also see Ayesha is already awake again. And let us use the hours of the night with her. Thanks to the computer whiz trade, she can hack for a while now, and hopefully make us a bit more money that way. Then Patrick finishes cleaning the toilet and can now finally also get some rest. Lovely, Ayesha has hacked a total of, I believe, 100 simoleons into our account, which fulfills another small wish for her. And that actually got me thinking. Ayesha has over 50,000 lifetime happiness points, and we don't really need them for anything with her. So I thought, just because we can, let's grab ourselves the food replicator. I believe we actually had one of these very early on in the series, and we used that to get Pete one of the unique upgrades and then sold it again. But you never know, maybe we'll need it someday. So yes, we now own that as well. Up next, we join Chastity again. She is already well rested and on her way to the fridge. She will have some vegetarian dim sum for breakfast, and then at 7 o'clock on the dot, Ayesha finishes hacking for today. You can see on the top left what I have planned for her, some more collecting, and then a small surprise. Meanwhile, Chastity has finished breakfast and will now take a shower. Once that is taken care of, her plans for today will be very similar to yesterday. Let's teleport her to the city for a round of guitar. As she arrives at the swimming pool, yes, I'm trying something new here, we get the overview for Paul's upcoming party. We are still working on that everybody's best friend skill challenge, and so I have decided to invite a bunch of people. And then, before Chastity can even begin playing, she undergoes a very important transformation. Alright, it seems that Chastity is now officially pregnant, and as we can see here, she has the wish to have a girl. That is actually something that I can very much agree with. We had Pete as the family founder and then Patrick and Paul as the next generation, and I would actually love for this third generation to be founded by a woman. At home, we saw the interruption earlier, Paul has begun another novel, but his guests will arrive soon, so he probably won't be able to finish that before they do. Also up again already is Patrick, once again starting his day in the garden. We now have to manually water the plants with the sprinkler, but I think that is still an upgrade over having him do it. And now quickly back to Chastity, because I believe I have found what is actually the best spot in Sunset Valley to play for tips. And it is in front of the restaurant. I believe it's a great spot because on one hand it's comparatively small, while on the other hand there is almost always a pretty nice amount of people here. Right here you can see we step in and immediately 4 people can watch us play. Let's see how that turns out. And back at home, the party has started. And with this one, I'm not only targeting the Everybody's Best Friend challenge, but also the Comedian challenge. For that one, we need to tell 100 successful jokes with Paul, something that sounds a lot tougher than it actually is. We have already told 5 funny jokes, so only 95 to go. Our first target is Tanya Dockery over here. That is actually Paul's sister-in-law now. And yeah, we will basically tell a bunch of jokes, and that is how the rest of this party will go. Then we jump over to Ayesha, who arrives at the spa. Somewhere midway through recording this episode, I actually noticed that we are in fact targeting the completion of all full-time careers, but what about the part-time careers? I honestly see them as a major hindrance for teenage sims, because in that life stage you can get so much done working towards your first career, but for elders like Ayesha, they're actually kind of perfect. So we are adding to the completionist checklist all 4 part-time jobs, and we're starting with the spa receptionist. Wonderful, and not even an hour later Ayesha arrives back home, and she will now begin to work from home, because yes, that is also possible in part-time jobs. And hopefully by doing so we will get to the 3rd and last level of her new career pretty soon. In the meantime, Paul is taking a quick conversation break to clean the kitchen counter. At the same time, Patrick is taking a shower, and then Paul finishes cleaning and fulfills himself a wish. Quickly checking in with Paul, he is now at 10 successful jokes already, leaving basically only a handful left for him. And over at the other end of the room, just a few hours before his work shift starts, Patrick is once again using the laptop to play computer games. Another promotion is absolutely realistic for him today, so let's do everything we can so that he succeeds. Alright, the carpool is here and it is time to leave for work. Before he beams himself over to the restaurant, however, we should do something about Patrick's hunger bar, and there is really not enough time to grab a full meal. So let us instead use the advantages of a garden and have him eat 2 apples, which fills his hunger bar almost to the maximum again. Then we can teleport him over to the restaurant, where an absolutely insane crowd has gathered around Chastity. We can set Patrick to work hard, then begin his workday, and watch Chastity grab tip after tip after tip. In the meantime, back at home, I think it is time to put an end to Paul's party. And here we are, accompanied by a bunch of tips from Chastity. Paul has completed the Everybody's Best Friend skill challenge in the charisma skill. Let's also have a quick look in the skill journal. We can see he has exactly 10 best friends now, so we gained 3 more with the party, and we're also up to 17 funny jokes. Now it is time to clean up a bit, take out the trash, tell even the most stubborn guests to leave, grab the mail, and sell a bunch of stuff for cash. Then after a nice shower, we're back at the dinner table with Paul, of course, with the Charisma skill book in hand. Then back over to Chastity, and with this last tip she fulfills herself the wish to collect the absolutely insane amount of 2,500 simoleons in tips. I believe we will come here a bit more often. Now it is time to make sure that Chastity's baby will in fact be a girl, so we'll have her eat some watermelon. Before she can finish, however, the game decides to interrupt us with an opportunity for Paul. Writing another science fiction novel was actually on my to-do list for him anyway, and with some simoleons as a reward on top, we'll gladly take that. Then back to Chastity, we'll eat 3 watermelon now, and we have to do that 2 more times to make sure that the baby will be a girl, and luckily we can harvest those watermelons right in our garden. And now it is the end of the workday for Patrick, and making his way through the crowd is the newly crowned executive chef of the restaurant. Yes, we did indeed get another promotion. While Patrick returns home, Chastity can now begin another guitar session. Hopefully it turns out as successful as the last one. At home, I decided that Paul has read enough for today and should instead continue to work on making something to read for others. He is more than halfway through with his book already, and I think he should be able to finish that tonight. Patrick, on the other hand, will begin reading again, the gardening skill book to be precise. However, after just a few seconds, he reaches level 7 in the gardening skill. He was apparently just below the threshold, and that means we can now upgrade the garden a bit, remove every plant apart from the watermelon. We currently need the fruits from that. And then have Patrick plant better quality versions with the harvested fruits and vegetables. At level 7 we can also plant rare and special seeds, and Ayesha has actually found a few of those, and I have already transferred them to Patrick, so he can put them in the ground as well. Inside, Paul finishes his fiction novel, once again not much in terms of money, but another step closer to completion of the skill challenge. Paul will now go straight to bed, and Ayesha will do the same. She has worked from home all day, and that was certainly a bit tiring. Patrick has now replanted and fertilized his entire garden, but after reaching level 7 in the gardening skill, there is one more thing that we still need to do, and that is we need to hit up the grocery store and buy some bell pepper and some garlic. Patrick will now return home to plant those, and Chastity can also stop her guitar session at the restaurant. We can see she made another 1,500 simoleons here. Once again, I can't stress enough what an insanely good spot this is right here, and she will return home now as well. And here he is. Patrick is planting and fertilizing the garlic and the bell pepper. Chastity is going to bed. And after a quick meal to satisfy his hunger, Patrick will do the same. And that wraps up today's episode. Lots of progress here today. We completed a skill challenge with Paul, got 2 promotions with Patrick, and we also significantly improved his gardening skill. We also got Ayesha employed again, and we found a guitar gold mine with Chastity. We will continue right where we left off next Sunday. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!